Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing 10 things that I learned after no longer being a teenager. Let's start. Number 1, learn by doing. In order to learn something, you need to actually just get started, get going, and do it. Reading how-to articles about how to make a YouTube video or how to get started is not going to help you actually get the task done. And you learn the most along the way as you're trying things out. I wish I knew this when I first started making YouTube videos. I spent around like 3 to 4 months just trying to figure out, oh, what's the best way to edit videos in iMovie? How do you create a good thumbnail or title? And all these things that I tried learning by watching other videos on it. But in reality, the best way to learn is by actually doing it. Actually sit down in front of my camera and try filming myself. That's how I learned how to not be so shy in front of a camera. You really improve by actually doing the task instead of just trying to read up on it or watching videos on how to get better at it. This is also an idea mentioned in the book Ultra Learning, written by Scott Young. Basically, he talks about how figuring out what to learn that directly translates into the task that you want to actually achieve is the best way of learning. For instance, if your goal is to pass the exam, the best way to learn about this is by doing past papers, which mimics the exam. Figure out what to do that most directly translates into your ultimate goal. Learn by actually doing. Number 2, everything ends up working out in the end. I know this sounds a bit cliche, but I have seen this happen to my life time and time again. I think the first instance I really saw this work out was in my medical school applications. I remember back then after submitting my applications, because I was already beyond the deadline, I was super worried about how everything would work out. I was emailing this person or asking on forums online, just reading up a lot of different stuff that fed into my overthinking. And I always need to remind myself nowadays that when I end up ruminating on something, I need to remind myself that everything works out for a reason. And everything works out in the end. In terms of more daily mundane things, something I stress about on like a semi-daily basis is commuting time and coordinating how I'm going to get from one place to another place without being late, and also maximizing the amount of sleep I can get. So let's say I have class at like 10:30, then maybe I have to leave the house super early. But then if I have something after that class, I also need to think about, okay, so will I have time for lunch? And where should I eat my lunch? Should I eat it on campus? Or should I just grab a quick snack? I just do a lot of overthinking. And when I catch myself doing that, I take a deep breath and I take a step back and I remind myself that everything will end up working out in the end. And I really strongly believe this, that everything happens for a reason too. And at the end of the day, that gives me a lot more peace when I'm ruminating on something or when I'm overthinking. Number 3, build a streak. I feel like Snapchat really had it all figured out before I finally realized this. Build a streak in order to build any habit that you want to create. Right now, behind me this calendar, I have this calendar for tracking my sleep. One of my goals this year is to actually stop going on my phone so much. So I'm using this as a tracker to see which nights I end up going to sleep without using my phone. And I found that building a streak has been so helpful in helping me sleep better, because now I'm not scrolling through my phone at night right before bed. Another way that building a streak has been really helpful for me was in terms of exercising. Back in 2021, I started exercising more frequently, and I built a streak of doing a morning workout. And having that streak going on kept me motivated to keep on doing it. If I had a streak of 5 days, on that 6th day, even though I didn't really feel like exercising, I would tell myself, I don't want to lose that streak, and I would push myself to do it. And honestly, once you get started, it's actually kind of enjoyable. The hardest part is getting started. And the way I motivate myself to get started is by reminding myself that I have a streak that I built and I don't want to break that streak. This has also been applied to other aspects of my life too, in terms of studying, such as my Anki like dashboard has a streak thing. And in general, building streaks has been really helpful in helping me build better habits. Number 4, if it's bothering you, write it down. In the book Getting Things Done by David Allen, he talks about how your mind is for coming up with ideas, not for storing ideas. Your mind can be super creative and help you come up with a bunch of ideas, but once it gets filled with ideas, it needs space to breathe, and you let your brain breathe by putting down those thoughts on paper. If your brain starts getting overwhelmed with thoughts, these thoughts, this is the way I think about it. These thoughts start attacking each other, and then you get a splitting headache, and you start overthinking, and you start running in circles inside your mind. But in reality, your brain just needs an outlet. If there's a lot of pressure building up, and you need an outlet, and you get it that outlet by writing down the thoughts on paper. Writing down on paper is like a cognitive tool that anchors your thoughts and allows you to look at your thoughts and rearrange it and find some clarity. Last year, I started journaling every single day, and I think that gives me a lot of clarity because I can put down what's on my mind on the paper. And once I have it written down, I realized it's actually not that big of a deal, or it's not actually that hard of a problem to solve. I need to put it down and actually process it in front of me instead of trying to work it out inside my mind. Number 5, you don't realize that you're not calm until you're finally calm. This is something that I finally realized after doing digital minimalism. It's a kind of idea that's highlighted by Cal Newport in his book Digital Minimalism, which is kind of like a dopamine detox, but it's also about taking a step back about the way you use technology and making sure that your tech that you're using is serving you. You're not serving your tech. I took a month back in 2022 to actually dial back my tech use. I stopped scrolling on YouTube incessantly. I stopped scrolling to Instagram. I stopped randomly browsing my phone and just picking it up when I was bored. If I was bored, I would actually try to read a book. I would listen to an audiobook. I would try something that was more fulfilling instead of falling down these mindless rabbit holes of an endless scroll. After doing digital minimalism, I found that I was a lot less neurotic. I know I'm probably using the word wrong, but neurotic for me is a mix of anxiousness and stressfulness, and just like a kind of constantly bouncing around in space. And I felt a lot less neurotic, and I felt a lot more calm. And then I didn't realize how not calm I was until I felt calm. Having said this, I highly recommend everyone to try digital minimalism. Try it out for a few weeks. The first week is the hardest, but once you get started, it gets a lot easier, and you start to reevaluate your relationship with technology and how you use the different apps on your phone, how you use your phone, how you use your laptop, all that stuff. It's a great book. Check out Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport for more details. Not sponsored, but I highly, highly recommend it. Number 6. You know the answer to that question. I'm a very highly indecisive person, and I tend to always ask other people for advice if I don't know what to do. But in the past couple of years, especially in the past year, I have found that it's very calming to tell myself, you know the answer to that question. You know the answer to the question of, oh, what should I order for lunch today? Should I get steamed pork or should I get some char siu? You know the answer to the question of, how much rice should I sell for a family? Do I need to sell 2 cups or 2.5 cups? You know the answer to that question. These are all like super micro things, daily activities that I actually know the answer to. I don't need to ask someone. Half the time I'm asking someone because I just want some assurance that I'm doing the right thing. But I need to also learn to trust in myself and trust in my ability to make the right decision. I know the answer to the question. And if you really don't know, think of it this way. What would you say to someone if they asked you that question? In terms of studying, I remember there was a time when I would ask my sister, oh, how should I study for my exams? I'll have to solve that. But in reality, I knew the answer to that question. I just didn't want to do it. And I knew that I should be doing past papers. I should do active recall, spaced repetition. These are all things that I know. I was just avoiding doing it by asking other people. But you don't get anywhere by avoiding the question. You need to answer the question for yourself and actually commit to that answer. Number 7. Some decisions can be made quickly. These are mainly decisions that repeat. For me, because I'm so indecisive about ordering food, I kind of limit myself to think about it for only like 3 to 5 minutes. Because these are decisions that repeat every single day. Like, we make the decision about what we eat at least 3 times a day. 4 or 5 if you actually end up deciding to snack that day too. But these are decisions that we make, and they're very low stakes ultimately, because if we feel like we made the wrong decision, we can just make a different decision next time. If I find out I ordered this food at the canteen and I don't end up liking it, that's fine. I could not order that next time. These are decisions that repeat, and they're very low stakes, so don't spend too much time thinking about it. I think in the past, I've definitely killed some of my brain cells just thinking about what to order for lunch or for dinner. But I need to tell myself, just try it. If you don't like it, don't get it next time. Some things are very low stakes, so stop driving yourself crazy by running all these mental gymnastics on yourself and trying to reason yourself out to the right answer. Just make the decision and move on with your life. Number 8, find clarity by stopping or writing about it, not by talking. I find that sometimes it's very nice to unload onto someone by talking to them about your worries, but sometimes that doesn't get you anywhere. Sometimes you know what's right for you. Their advice might not even apply to you. You know what you want, you know what your values are, and you understand what you actually need to do. If there's something bothering me, I tend to unload it on paper first. Writing everything down and reorganizing your thoughts might be more beneficial because it allows you to slow down and stop and be more introspective about what you're actually doing right now in comparison to talking to someone else, because that's still too much motion, creative energy, neurotic energy, in my opinion. Write it down, slow down, stop, and just think. Number 9, relax not by sleeping, but actually going out and doing something fun. I separate relaxing into 2 categories. One of them is active relaxation, and one is passive relaxation. Active relaxation is going out, getting a change in environment, and switching gears, whereas passive relaxation would just be taking a quick nap or watching a drama and just scrolling through YouTube. I'll take the liberty of classifying myself along with other students as knowledge workers, meaning that what we do is not physical labor. And the mental labor that we usually do as students requires relaxation by switching gears to another environment and doing another form of labor, instead of pausing the machine by just sleeping. One way that I find very helpful in terms of relaxing and switching gears is by doing something physical. Maybe this is doing a workout. Maybe this is going out for a nice walk. Doing this is a nice change of environment, and doing something physical also helps my mind relax from everything I was trying to learn that day. This is also why I really enjoy doing YouTube. I find that making YouTube videos is a nice creative outlet for me, and it's a nice switch from the kind of mind that I need when I'm studying and trying to focus. And it's different from the mind that I use when I'm just exercising. And switching from one type of mind to another type of mind is a helpful way for me to relax. Number 10, watch dramas mindfully. Don't watch for the sake of watching something. This is something I realized last year as I was doing digital minimalism. When I would actually take a step back and ask myself, will I be fulfilled after I watch this drama? And oftentimes the answer was no. I find that sometimes I watch a drama for the sake of watching the newest episode of Love Like a Galaxy, instead of actually enjoying the acting and the humor and the plot. Sometimes I'm watching because I just need a distraction, not because I'll actually enjoy the drama when I sit down to watch it. And I think that if I'm not going to enjoy the drama, if I'm going to feel empty after watching it, it's better to do something else. It's better to do something that will actually fill me up. And if I'm not going to enjoy a drama, if I'm not going to find it fulfilling after watching it, I will now choose instead do something else. Sometimes I will find it fulfilling to watch a drama, but I find that asking myself that question of, will I be fulfilled after watching this, has been a great mindset shift, and it has also helped me dial back the amount of dramas I watch nowadays. So that wraps up the 10 things I learned after no longer being a teenager. If you found this video interesting, please give it a like and check out this video here about my biggest regrets at high school. Until next time, bye-bye!